Assalamualaikum and good morning everyone. Firstly, I would like to thank you for attending this meeting. As everyone knows, Mr. Daniel Alfonso is going to leave this company by the end of this September. So the objective of this meeting is to discuss on recruiting on a new employee to fill in his position, which is Product Development Executive. In order to gain these information that will be presented in a bit, for the past week I had done some research, worked closely and also interviewed and discussed with Mr. Daniel Alfonso regarding his position. I will start with the job description. Being a product development executive is basically contributing to the development of the product market strategy and defining new product requirements. This executive also will be responsible for developing a roadmap for the product line across the full product life cycle with other related departments. As follows are the authority of the job holder. Next, as I mentioned before, the executive will be working together with other departments such as sales marketing department, because by talking to the sales staffs, product developers will find out what customers want for a product, why they prefer certain features, and that will fulfill the customer's needs and lead to increase of sales. Then they consult with the expert colleagues in engineering, finance and manufacturing departments to identify the features that can incorporate it within the cost and technical constraints. Besides assessing competitors' products to compare performance equivalent with the company products, developers also collaborate with engineering and technical specialists to ensure that the design takes advantage of the latest materials or technologies. A product development executive usually will report and presents to the product development manager. Moving on to the next part, which is the responsibilities and duties as a product development executive. In the market analysis area, the product executive has to do win or loss analysis to understand why the customers did or did not buy our products and understand the steps they took in buying process. In terms of planning, a strategic product planning is one of the duties that will lead on the roadmap for the allocation product line, pricing and packaging also contributes towards establishing pricing models, schedules, guidelines and procedures that will be determined by the executive. In the go-to-market area, product positioning is one of the vital duties, which is describing the product by its ability to solve market problems. Sales enablement and product evolution areas are also included. I already sent more details for this part to each of your emails. If there are any problems to discuss, you may get back to me.
Yeah, I have gone through it and all is good.
Alright, thank you, Damia. And here are the standard performance that are expected. For working condition, the executive may have to work in manufacturing environment, depends on the product developed, but most of the time will work in the office, and as stated there, their working hours may change. Moving on to the job specifications, these are the knowledge, skills and abilities required.
So I think we can add flexibility of working time too, since they are stated that the executive may end up doing some of their tasks at home at night and on the weekend. How about you?
I think, okay, that is necessary. I will include in that. Thank you for your suggestion. So next are the educational qualifications and work experience needed for this position and the career path.
The executive was supposed to hire someone with master's degree?
I don't think so, as graduates that have master's degree tend to ask for higher range of salary because of their level of education is higher than bachelor's of degree.
Speaking of that, what is the salary proposed for this position?
Oh, the starting salary will be 3,000 and 3,200. If there is no objections, we shall proceed to the next officer.
Thank you, Ferlisya. Next, I am responsible to present regarding HR2, which is recruiting process. Why should we hire external candidate? This is because to gain expertise in a market, product, technology, or service offering, perhaps the single best reason to recruit from outside of our current organizations comes with the recognition that there are many opportunities for improvement to be accomplished. Next is because more option for recruitment. As we discussed earlier, one of the main disadvantages of the internal recruitment process is the limited number of candidates to new positions.
Other than that, what do you think the reason for our company should hire external candidate more than internal candidate?
Thank you, Deena, for the question. If we hire more outside candidate, the person you hire may have much more experience or expertise than existing team members, or they have specific training, skills, knowledge that the current teams does not have. Moving on to the best way to recruit, that is to attract people outside of the company to fill in these positions. Firstly, we must invest in new technologies. By upgrading tools, apps and devices, not only just will pique the interest of the best candidates, but also the rest of our team will become more engaged and more productive.
Do you think it is necessary for our company to invest and spend money for upgrading our technology?
Thank you, Dami. Yes, because if we invest in the new technology, our employees automatically can learn and improve their knowledge time to time by having great facilities. Secondly, to let employees work on many different kinds of jobs. When we allow our employees to work on many different kinds of projects, they learn new things and gain experience outside their wheelhouse. In other words, they become better polished professionals. And the lastly is to build a strong employee brand. To attract candidates with the highest talent potential, organization needs to build employee brands that appeal to the kinds of workers that they want to hire. When we build a strong employee brand, the best workers will want to work with us. This is some of the method of recruitment. The top one is on social media. Being active on social media, service like Twitter allow us to meet potential candidates in lots of ways. We can also use social media to screen candidates, assessing their suitability based on the content of their online posts.
Yes, I agree, because from what I know, social media are the biggest and fastest platform to spread information.
Yes, thank you. Next, web advertising. This is because advertising on recruitment website promise a potentially wide reach at low cost. For example, job seekers can use Google to find specific types of job at a range of the most popular recruitment websites. And the last one is video interviewing. With video interviews, recruiter can ask unlimited questions and view the response at a convenient time. And now we are in the important part, which to choose our best poster for promoting our job vacancy. Here, I have created two posters that differ from content. Which do you guys think is the most fit for our company team?
I think for me, the first one is better and attractive. It's simple and attractive. Yeah.
How about the others?
Yes, I agree with Faridah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for the response. And moving on, this is also some of application job that we can use for recruiting our employee with all the data that we need. The last one is are the example of few good resume which include complete data from our employee that we can ask for. I think this is end of my presentation. Thank you.
Next, I responsible for the selection process. So for the selection process, there are 7 different types of tests that we can use to select the best candidates. As stated on the screen, performance test, aptitude test, personality and interest test, intelligence test, test of physical abilities, achievement test, and medical test. So I just chose a few of them to select the best candidate this time, including a personality test, intelligence test, and medical test. So, in my opinion, for personality tests, help us to evaluate the candidate's personality, emotional reactions, maturity, and characteristic. It is also used to determine whether the candidate is interested or disinterested in the position of product development executive that we are looking for. Candidates' personality will influence their workplace behavior, allowing recruiters to understand how they interact with others, approach and solve problems, and manage their emotions. We will use the 16 personalities website for this test to gain a better understanding of the candidate's personality. The results of 16 personalities will show the candidate's personality type and personality traits of the candidates, along with an explanation.
The way I see it, this kind of test is really important because by knowing their personality, we can understand them better.
Yeah, right. We can better understand them, and they can also do self-reflection based on the results to improve themselves. The next test will be intelligence test. Alright, intelligence tests are used to assess critical thinking skills, learning ability, and problem-solving abilities. The intelligence test is used to predict ability to process quantitative and qualitative data in a lot of circumstances. If they were able to get a higher score, they are good at understanding the problem. It will aid in the ability to solve everyday business problem rationally and effectively. For this test, I will create a Google form with questions regarding intelligence tests, such as numerical, logical, and so on. Google Forms, as we all know, are extremely user-friendly, so I believe it will be easy for both candidates to answer the question and for us to obtain the result. Lastly, the medical test. Medical tests allow us to identify whether or not the candidates meet the physical requirement. We can predict the occurrence that may prevent them from performing effectively in their position. Discover or determine any medical limitation that we should consider when placing candidates, and ensure that the working environment is safe and secure with fewer workplace injuries. They were required to take a few tests like drug and alcohol tests, as well as routine physical examinations, which included reflex, hearing, and vision. And there are also heart health tests and psychological tests.
Do we intend to use all three? Because we are doing it online, right? I believe 2 is enough.
Oh, yeah. I was thinking the same thing. What if we only using personality and intelligence tests? Because during this pandemic and MCO, it may take some time to schedule medical test appointment. What are your thoughts, Faridah?
Yes, I agree. And I also think that we can conduct the medical tests when they are officially being hired for the position.
Sure. Then we will proceed with personality and intelligence tests only. Thank you for your opinion. The next part is to decide whether to hire a local or an expatriate. I generally think it is preferable to select local candidates. It is simple and inexpensive to incorporate. A work visa for an employee and residency visa for their entire family is not required for a local. So there is no need to go through the time-consuming and costly process of applying for a visa. Second, the local is already familiar with the area and knowledgeable about it. Because they are native speakers, they don't need to learn a new language to communicate better. It is also has the disadvantage that we need to face for hire the locals where they are new to the organization. So, they need to learn how our company works, the system, the organization, and etc. Next, we also require support and training. We get started, for example, on-the-job training such as learning from colleagues who are doing the same job we are expected to do. This type of training helps to increase self-esteem by allowing co-workers to get to know each other while working together, but it can also lead to the sense of dependency. Hiring locals, especially for product development executive positions, is a surefire way for our company to establish itself in a new market. They will help our company in this new area, and we will be able to rely on their local knowledge to make the best decisions for our organization. Do you guys agree with me?
Yes, I agree with you, Damia.
Yes, me too. Sure.
If everyone agrees with me, I think that's all for the selection process. We can continue. we can continue with the interview sessions.
Okay, thank you, Damia. In order for a selection process to run smoothly, I will continue to present regarding interview preparation process. To starting out, our interview will be conducted sequentially by 4 panels at a time with 1 candidate. By choosing this method, we will be able to evaluate a candidate abilities, efficiency overall, as well as their handling of pressure and their ability to concentrate with multiple questions. Next, to get better understanding about the candidate's performance and their skills, I have created a list of structured questions that focus on their past experience, strengths and weakness, job recruitments, and abilities the person can bring to their company. We can find out how they perform and what their true abilities toward the role by their responses. These are the following questions that were prepared, but if you have any suggestions or objections, please let me know so I can make a change.
I think that we can put one more questions that will show how they want to achieve if they get this job offer. Like, if you're accepted for this position, what contribution can you give to make this company become more successful in next 5 years? Something like that.
Yeah, that's a very good idea. Thanks, Damia. I will include that into the questionnaires. Therefore, we now have 8 questions in total. If there's nothing else, I will move on to my next point. So I have also created a standard evaluation marking scheme form that can be used during the interview session, so that each panel can record and assess each candidate's responses based on the guide. My objective of creating this marking form is to avoid any mistake or unfair process that overlook a candidate ability to perform the essential duties on the job. I would greatly appreciate it if you took a moment to review this marking form and do not hesitate to ask me if you have any question.
Based on this marking form, how should we determine the suitable score to give to them?
I'm glad you asked, Faridah. To make it fair during the interview process, I have prepared a scoring form that can be used to measure each interview performance, which you can see answer guide in next column of the questions and also the next page for the scoring guide. That can be used to determine if the interviewee is giving an appropriate answer as well as scoring it according to how well they respond.
I want to ask a question. How we are going to conduct this interview meeting if we can't make a large gathering due to this COVID-19 pandemic?
Regarding to your questions, since we cannot hold a large meeting during this pandemic, in order to prevent the spread of the virus, we will utilize the latest technology by conducting a virtual meeting. After doing some research, I find that Teams application is the most appropriate for us to use. Besides being free, it has a lot of features that can be used to facilitate our meeting, such as clearing the meeting time not to exceed the time frame and inviting the candidates to join. Therefore, our meeting will take place on Monday, 13 September and begin the interviewing session at 9 morning.
Is there anything that we should avoid during the interview session?
Yes, Myra. I would like to emphasize that while the interview meeting is in process, I hope that all of interviewee can minimize small talk during the interview to refrain from asking any question that could be seen as discriminatory, such as questions about disability, family, or relationship status. Other than that, we should explain clearly to all candidates that we do not support any form of favoritisms, which any family or friends are not granted preferential treatment in this company. So they should not worry as we make a selection very carefully based on the abilities they demonstrate during the interview sessions and will avoid any nepotisms and discriminations. Next, avoiding interview fate is extremely important. Do not let any individual feeling get in your way of your professionalism, respect their time and effort. Our last and most important, we must also make sure not to overlook those candidates who are not selected. We should do a follow-up by giving them feedback on how they're performing and if there is anything that they can improve on. This is all from me, and if there is no objection raised, I will pass to the next presenter.
Alright, seems like nobody's going to ask a question, so thank you, Faridah Maisarah. Lastly, as the HR manager, I am responsible for hiring the selected candidates, so I have prepared the offer letter for the new employee. The offer letter will consist the detailed terms and conditions of the employment, which will be attached to the letter for their reference. So, firstly, there will be their position, which is Product Development Executive, and the date of commencement will be 1st October 2021. The employment status is permanent, but the probationary period will be 2 months. Do you guys think 2 months is enough, or should we make it 3 months?
I think 2 months is enough. Let's proceed with that period.
Alright. So the probationary period will end at 1st December 2021. And they will be paid 3,200 ringgit per month, but will be deducted for the EPF, SOCSO, and income tax at statutory rates. For the annual leave and medical leave, a period of 14 days per annum upon confirmation, and 500 ringgit per year for the clinical claims, which is the medical benefit. The working hours will be the basic office working hours, which is 8 to 5 from Monday to Friday. And for the job description, of course, they have to do market analysis, strategy planning, go to market, sales enablement, and do product evaluation, and many more. And for the confidentiality, confidential information of our company should be given highest importance, which is all reports, financial statements, data statistics, and similar items, and they must not disclose without prior approval from the management. And if they accept this offer, they would have to give their response by 25 September 2021. Moving on is the contract of service, which consists of 5 parts. Firstly is the employment. Employee of this position shall have the following duties and undertake the following responsibilities, as you can see at the slide. And the performance of duties, they have to perform their duties and responsibilities in a professional manner and in a good faith. For the term, will be for an unspecified term on an at-will basis.
When will the employee receive the salary, and what about the overtime?
The amount will be paid once a month on the 22nd day of each month, and for the overtime, employee shall receive the overtime compensation for service performed. Lastly is the default. So any occurrence of the following shall constitute a material default under this contract. You can see at the slide what is the default. And lastly is the induction program. I prepared checklist for the induction program for the new employee, and this checklist is structured for the first 2 weeks of employment. Is that okay?
The way I see it, 2 weeks is enough for the new employee to adapt with the environment.
Alright, thank you. So they would, at the end of 2 weeks, they would have to sign and return this copy to the HR team.
So this checklist is divided into how many sections?
This checklist is 3 sections, which is introduction, premises, and lastly health and safety.
I like how neat the checklist is. Alright, let's proceed then.
So the first part is introduction, where we would introduce the members to the new employee and the role of the service in the department. And for the premises, we would have a tour of the building, which we will show around the setting, the rooms, the toilets, and all that, and the signing in and out procedure, the shift working hours, the door codes, and we will show where the documents are kept, which is all the forms like registration form, booking forms, and all that, and also ID and security. Last but not least is the health and safety. And the most important thing, of course, is the first aid box location. So we will show them where it is located. Then the smoking policy and arrangements, the fire notice, fire drill procedure, fire extinguishers, fire regulations, and the qualified first aid staff notices. So if you don't have any questions, I think that is all from me. Thank you.
Alright, I think we have covered everything on the list. If no one has anything else to add, then I think we will wrap this up. Thank you everyone for the commitment and time.